So I'm a 42-year-old woman who became a grandma at 39, which I guess isn't technically impossible but sure feels insane when I say it out loud. And it's not like I ever expected some perfect little suburban dream for my kid. I had her young myself, but when Alyssa came home crying at 19, telling me she was pregnant and that her boyfriend had ghosted, my first instinct wasn't anger or judgment. It was to protect her. That's what you do when you love someone more than your own life. You go into survival mode. You promise to help. You tell them they'll never be alone. And you mean it. At the time, it felt like the right thing. She moved back in. We turned the guest room into a nursery. I helped her get on Medicaid. I even covered the cost of birthing classes and bought her this fancy bassinet she swore she needed because some influencer said it was life-changing. Whatever. I was trying to be supportive. But from the moment Ellie was born, I noticed Alyssa checking out. She wasn't cruel or neglectful, not at first, but she was absent in this low-key, scary way. She'd sleep through feedings and say she was too depressed to hold the baby. She'd disappear into the bathroom for hours to decompress while I bounced Ellie on my hip and send work emails with one hand. She'd stay up late watching Netflix, then complain she was too exhausted to change diapers in the morning. I figured she was struggling. Maybe even with postpartum stuff. So I gave her time. I took over more and more of the parenting, thinking, she'll come around. 3 years later, I'm still waiting. I'm the one who gets Ellie ready every day. I make her meals, wash her clothes, take her to preschool, deal with tantrums, run to Target when we run out of baby wipes. I book the pediatrician appointments. I handle vaccinations. I fill out the emergency contact forms. It's me. Always me. And Alyssa? She sleeps in most mornings. She goes out at night, sometimes for girl time, sometimes with guys she barely knows. She has a rotation of new friends I've never met who honk in the driveway at 10 p.m. She doesn't clean, doesn't cook, doesn't do laundry. Her room is a disaster zone I've stopped even bothering to enter. Last month I caught her sneaking in at 2 a.m. and lying about where she was, while I was rocking her daughter through another bad night of teething. I've tried talking to her like an adult. Calmly. Gently. Hell, even with a little tough love. I told her I love her, but she's not contributing. I said she either needs to get a job, go back to school, or figure out childcare so I can have my own life back. She cried. She screamed. She said I was punishing her for being a single mom. Then she pulled the classic "you don't get it" line, which just about made my head explode because I do get it. I did this too, under way worse circumstances, with no family to back me up. I was working nights at a gas station when she was Ellie's age. It's not even about money. I mean, sure, it would help. I'm scraping by. But what really gets to me is that she doesn't seem to care. There's no urgency, no guilt, no accountability. She acts like it's her God-given right to chill while I run myself into the ground. I haven't had a weekend off in almost a year. I haven't gone on a date or seen a movie or had brunch with a friend. Every second of my life is about someone else's kid, and that kid's actual parent doesn't even notice. Worse, she weaponizes my love for Ellie. She knows I won't walk away from that little girl, so she uses it like a shield. She says things like, well, you wouldn't want her to be in daycare, right? Or you're just better with her than I am. Sometimes I wonder if she got pregnant knowing I'd end up taking over. I hate myself for thinking that. But I do. Recently I told her things needed to change. I said, you're 22. You're not a child. You're a mother. Start acting like one. Her response? You just want to throw me out like Grandma did to you. That one hurt. Deeply. Because it's true, I didn't have support at her age. I got kicked out for being pregnant. I swore I'd never be that kind of mom. But now I feel like I'm being punished for keeping my promise. So now I'm stuck. If I keep going like this, I'll burn out completely. But if I back off, Ellie suffers. If I kick Alyssa out, I might lose both of them. I feel like I'm drowning in guilt and exhaustion, and I don't know how to fix it. Some days I fantasize about running away, renting a tiny apartment, and sleeping for a week straight. But then I look at Ellie, and she smiles at me with this big gummy grin, and I remember why I stayed in the first place. Still, I can't shake the feeling that I'm enabling Alyssa's worst instincts. That by protecting her, I've stunted her. That maybe I'm the problem. And now I'm starting to wonder if loving someone too much can actually do damage. After the last blowout, things were tense. Alyssa started avoiding me completely, like I was some abusive stepmother in a bad Disney reboot. She'd creep downstairs in the afternoon, sunglasses on like she had a hangover, grab an energy drink from the fridge, then vanish back upstairs. Sometimes I'd hear her talking loudly on the phone, laughing, playing TikToks. Sometimes it was just silence. But she wasn't helping. She wasn't asking how Ellie was feeling. She didn't even know her daughter had a fever until 2 days after it broke. I had to take time off work to manage everything again. My boss wasn't thrilled, and I can't really blame him. I'm already juggling way too much, tight deadlines, insurance calls, billing disputes, and Ellie, who needed medicine, extra cuddles, and constant monitoring. Every time I rocked her to sleep or wiped her forehead, I wondered, where the hell is her actual mother? One night I made dinner, mac and cheese and fish sticks, because I was too tired for anything else, and called up the stairs. No response. I sent a text. Nothing. Finally, I walked up and knocked. Alyssa opened the door a crack. She had makeup half done, fake lashes already on, curling iron heating up in the background. Are you going somewhere? I asked. She sighed. Yeah. Just out for a bit. Ellie still hasn't eaten. Can you help with bedtime tonight? I will tomorrow. I'm needing someone. That's always her answer. Tomorrow. Like responsibility is a rotating shift she can swap in and out of when it suits her mood. I went back downstairs and fed Ellie. She was fussy, wouldn't touch the peas, dropped her cup 3 times. I was too tired to scold her properly. I just cleaned it up and kept going. Later that night, after Ellie was asleep, I looked at Alyssa's Instagram story. Big mistake. There she was, taking mirror selfies in a club bathroom, drink in hand, duck face on. Caption, Mom's Night Out Blackheart. No, it wasn't. It was a girl's night out. A single girl who doesn't have kids' night out. The next morning, I tried again. I waited until Ellie was watching cartoons and Alyssa came down in sweats, looking for coffee. I need help, I said. This isn't working. I can't be the only parent here. She rolled her eyes. You're not. I'm doing my best. Are you? Because from where I'm standing, your best involves you partying 4 nights a week and sleeping until noon while I do everything. That's not parenting. She went off. Claimed I was policing her healing process, that I always expect perfection, and that I suffocate her with my expectations. Then came the classic line, you just want control. Honestly? Maybe I do want control. Because what happens when I don't take control? A 3-year-old ends up neglected while her mom works on her self-discovery. I told her she had 60 days to start contributing, job, childcare, something. She told me I was threatening her, that I was no better than Nana, and that she'd leave before she let me run her life. That she'd take Ellie and I'd never see them again. It gutted me. I've raised Ellie like my own. I've been there for every step, first tooth, first steps, first I love you. She's not just my granddaughter, she's my second chance. And now, suddenly, I'm being blackmailed with the threat of losing her? That night, I barely slept. I kept checking the baby monitor even though I knew Ellie was fine. I was just afraid. Not of Alyssa, but of this deep, paralyzing fear that I'd failed. That somehow, all the sacrifice, all the love, had led us here, me begging for scraps of help from my own child. The next week, Alyssa started doing the bare minimum. One night she bathed Ellie, then gave herself a victory lap for it. She started filling out one job app and then spent 2 hours online shopping. She kept posting selfies with captions like healing isn't linear and bad days build strong moms. And yet, every night, she still went out. New outfits, new stories, new boys. I finally called my sister again. She has older kids and way more spine than I do. She said, kick her out. Call her bluff. I can't, I said. What if she actually leaves? Then she leaves, my sister said. And maybe that's what it takes. But it's not that easy. It's never that easy. Because no matter how awful Alyssa can be, she's still my daughter. I remember her as a baby, holding my finger, calling me mama. I remember her sleeping on my chest after her first fever. I remember thinking, I'll never let the world hurt her. And now I'm the one who has to hurt her to protect someone else. That night, I found Ellie crying in her crib. No reason. Just scared, I think. She grabbed my hair and wouldn't let go. I sat there with her for an hour, singing softly. And I realized, as clear as day, this little girl depends on me. Not just physically. Emotionally. She feels safest with me. So what happens to her if I say, enough? What happens if I finally put myself first? Because I'm not just tired anymore. I'm angry. And anger, mixed with guilt, is a toxic cocktail. I drink it every day. And I'm not sure how much more I can take. It was Tuesday morning. Ellie was settled on the rug with her puzzle mat, sipping a juice box and humming to herself, blissfully unaware that the adults around her were in Cold War mode. I was halfway into a work call when I heard the fridge door slam so hard I jumped. I muted myself and turned to see Alyssa glaring at the empty shelf where the oat milk used to be. She held the carton up like it was evidence in a trial. You didn't buy more, she said flatly. We have regular milk, I replied, trying to keep my voice neutral. Which you don't drink, unless it's in a $7 latte someone else makes, so. She cut me off with an exaggerated sigh. God, you're exhausting. You always have to make a point. I didn't respond. There's no winning. Not anymore. 5 minutes later, I reminded her again about the job application she was supposed to pick up. The one she said she was really serious about. She groaned like I'd asked her to donate a kidney. I don't need you micromanaging every second of my life, she snapped. You think this makes you some martyr? Like, congrats on keeping the lights on, Mom. Want a trophy? I stared at her, genuinely stunned by the venom in her voice. She didn't stop. You always act like you're this amazing mother, but you weren't. Not to me. You were always working or gone. I raised myself. You just paid the bills and called it parenting. That one hit harder than I expected. Because in her eyes, that was probably true. I had her young. I hustled hard. I missed things, school plays, weekend outings, some birthdays. I thought providing was enough. I thought love meant sacrifice. But apparently, all she remembers is what I wasn't. I swallowed the lump in my throat and said, I did what I could with what I had. She laughed, cold, bitter. Yeah, well, don't expect a thank you speech. I'm not Ellie. You don't get a second chance with me. She stormed upstairs, and I just stood there, stunned. Ellie tugged on my sleeve and said, juice spilled. And that snapped me out of it. Back to the real world. The only world that mattered. Later that day, I saw her story on Instagram. It was a selfie, her eyes all puffy, with some deep-fried filter and a caption that read, "They'll ruin your life and call it love broken heart." Hundreds of likes. Heart emojis. People telling her she's brave and strong. Meanwhile, I'm in the kitchen, holding a screaming toddler who won't nap, trying to keep it together while microwaving chicken nuggets with one hand. That night, I tried something new. When bedtime came, Ellie refused to lie down unless I was there. Same as always. But instead of giving in, I looked Alyssa in the eye and said, she's asking for you. Alyssa was already curled up on the couch, AirPods in, phone blowing. She barely looked up. She's fine. Just let her fall asleep on your chest. That's what you always do. No, I said. Not tonight. You're her mother. Go. She groaned, like I was ruining her vibe. But I didn't back down. I walked to my room, shut the door, and for the first time in 3 years, I let her handle it. I heard crying. First Ellie's, then Alyssa's. I heard pacing, a drawer slamming, a lullaby half-whispered. I heard them both struggle, and I didn't step in. The next morning, she looked exhausted. Hair matted, eyes bloodshot, shirt stained. For once, she looked like a parent. She didn't say anything. Neither did I. But something was different. There was a crack. A tiny shift in the dynamic. Maybe she finally understood that it's not as easy as she pretends it is. But then came the twist. That afternoon, she asked me to watch Ellie so she could take a break. I told her no. Firm. Calm. She looked at me like I'd slapped her. What the hell am I supposed to do? Figure it out, I said. Like I did. Like every real mom has to. She glared. You just want me to fail. No, I said. I want you to show up. For her. For once. She walked out without another word. I didn't ask where she went. I didn't care. But that night, I cried again. Because even though I set a boundary, it felt awful. It felt like punishing her, even if I knew it was necessary. That night, I lay in bed staring at the ceiling. I kept thinking about what she said, how I wasn't a real mom to her. And it stuck with me. Not because it was fair, but because it was partially true. I did miss things. I was absent sometimes. I was tired and overwhelmed and not always gentle. I didn't bake cookies or do PTA or make her Halloween costumes. I just worked. And loved her. In the only way I knew how. And maybe it wasn't enough. But I never walked away. I never went clubbing while she was sick. I never checked out of motherhood. That's the difference. Ellie stirred in her sleep, and I got up to check on her. She had kicked off the blanket again. Her little feet were cold. I tucked her in, kissed her forehead, and whispered, "I've got you." Then I stood in the hallway outside Alyssa's door for a long time. I didn't go in. I didn't say goodnight. I didn't knock. I just stood there, hoping maybe stupidly that something I said would finally stick. That some part of her was waking up. But deep down, I knew this wasn't over. Not even close. The tantrum started over yogurt. Ellie wanted the blue one, the one with the little cartoon whale on it. But there was only the orange one left. Same brand, same flavor, different packaging. That was enough to ruin the whole morning. She stood in the middle of the kitchen, tiny fists clenched, pigtails sticking out wildly, shouting, "An orange. I hate orange. I want blue." I was already 10 minutes late to clock in. My laptop sat open on the counter. My phone was buzzing with work messages. My coffee was cold. I took a deep breath. Ellie, baby, it's the same yogurt. Just different color. She threw it. Full-on pitched it across the room. It exploded on the tile, a splatter of peach goo everywhere. And that was the moment Alyssa chose to wander downstairs, yawning dramatically, phone in hand. What's with the screaming? I just looked at her. Then at the yogurt. Then back at her. She wanted the blue one, I said quietly. Alyssa sighed like this was somehow my fault. Okay, well, you know how she is. Yes. I did know. She's 3. She's stubborn. She's sensitive. She doesn't like change. She talks in full sentences now, argues about bedtime, insists on choosing her socks, and wants to butter her own toast even though she makes a mess. But she also kisses me on the nose, says "I love you too much," and wraps her whole body around my legs when she's scared. She's a full person. A small, emotional, chaotic person. And right now, she needed more than either of us had to give. I started cleaning up the mess without another word. Alyssa scrolled Instagram. By lunch, Ellie had calmed down, but I hadn't. I was stewing. Every time I passed Alyssa, now lounging on the couch, watching reality TV, I felt my blood pressure spike. So I did something petty. I left. I told Alyssa, "You're on. I need 20 minutes. Alone." She blinked like I was speaking Greek. "You can't just leave me with her. She's your daughter," I said. "You'll survive." I walked out. I got in my car. I didn't even go far, just sat in the parking lot of a Walgreens, sipping a bad coffee and breathing for the first time all day. When I got back, Alyssa was pacing with Ellie in her arms. The toddler was red-faced and sobbing. She wanted to wear her pajamas to the park and wouldn't put on pants, Alyssa said, eyes wide like she'd survived a war. "She bit me." I looked at her arm. Sure enough, tiny teeth marks. Nothing broken, just indignant skin. "Yeah," I said. "She does that when she's overtired." "I can't do this," she muttered. "She's impossible." "No," I said. "She's 3. That night, I didn't cook. I didn't clean. I didn't ask Alyssa if she needed anything. I gave Ellie a bath, read her a story, and went to bed without saying a word. The next morning, Alyssa finally snapped. "I feel like you don't even care about me anymore," she said. I laughed. I didn't mean to, but it came out sharp and bitter. "Care about you? I've built my whole life around caring about you. That's all I've ever done." "No," she said. "You care about Ellie. You treat her like she's your second chance. Like I was your mistake and she's your do-over." And there it was. The ugly truth. I didn't deny it. Because maybe it was true. Maybe I was trying to do things differently with Ellie, gentler, more present, more patient. Maybe I was trying to fix something. But I wasn't going to apologize for loving my granddaughter. "What do you want from me, Alyssa?" I asked. "Do you want me to stop caring about her? About you? Do you want me to back off? Step away? Watch you spiral while she suffers? I want you to stop making me feel like shit all the time." "I'm not making you feel anything," I snapped. "Your choices are." She didn't say anything after that. She just stood there, arms crossed, lips trembling. And for the first time, I felt absolutely done. Not angry. Not heartbroken. Just done. "I'm not your babysitter," I said. "I'm not your maid. And I'm not your doormat anymore." She flinched, but I didn't stop. "You want to be a mom? Be one. You don't? Then say it. But I'm not carrying this load alone anymore." I walked away. Into the kitchen. Made a sandwich. Sat down. Ate it. In silence. That night, she packed a bag. I heard her zipping it up, rummaging in her drawers, muttering under her breath. She didn't say goodbye. Just left. She came back the next morning like nothing happened. But this time, she had a suitcase. And a guy I didn't recognize waiting in the car. He didn't get out. Just leaned back in the driver's seat, sunglasses on, bass thumping from his stereo like we lived in a parking lot, not a neighborhood with toddlers and retirees. Alyssa walked in with her chin high like she had something to prove. She dumped her suitcase in the entryway and went straight to the fridge, grabbed a soda, and popped it open like she hadn't just stormed out less than 24 hours ago. I stared at her. Waiting. For an explanation. An apology. A single sign of humility. But she gave me nothing. Instead she said, "We're staying here for a while." "We?" I asked. She looked right at me. "Me and Jeremy." "Who the hell is Jeremy?" "My boyfriend." "And Ellie's, like, future stepdad, probably." I nearly laughed. "She met him?" "No," she said, waving her hand. But they'll get along. He's good with kids. I stood there frozen. Not even angry, just stunned. This was her grand solution? Leave in a storm, come back with a stranger and a suitcase, and act like this was normal? You're not moving someone into my house, I said, voice calm, controlled, deadly quiet. It's not just your house, she snapped. I live here too. You said I had 60 days. It's only been 29. I looked down. My hands were shaking. Get him out. He's just staying for a few nights. No, I said. Not one night. Not 1 minute. This isn't a motel. And I'm not your doormat. She rolled her eyes. God, you're so dramatic. It's not like we're doing anything crazy. You think bringing home a random guy to the house where your daughter sleeps is nothing crazy? He's not random. He's my boyfriend. I laughed. I couldn't help it. A dry, bitter sound that made her flinch. What's his last name, Alyssa? Silence. How long have you known him? More silence. Did you even tell him you have a kid? I'm not doing this, she said, grabbing her soda and turning away. Yes, you are, I said. Because if he walks through that door, I'm calling the police. And CPS. She turned slowly, eyes wide. You wouldn't. Try me. And for the first time, I saw it real fear. Not anger, not fake outrage, not teen melodrama. Actual fear. She left without another word. Slammed the door behind her so hard it rattled the windows. I waited a full hour before I let myself cry. Ellie was still asleep. Thank God. She missed the whole thing. But when she woke up, she padded into the kitchen in her tiny dinosaur pajamas, rubbing her eyes, and said, "Where Mama?" And I lied. I said, she went to the store. And I sat there, holding a juice box with a fake smile on my face, wondering how much longer I could keep this up. How long before the next door slam? The next Instagram quote? The next man-child she brings home like he's a rescue puppy instead of a red flag? And what happens when Ellie's old enough to see all of it? That's what scares me the most. Not the mess. Not the exhaustion. But the moment Ellie stops calling me Nana and starts asking real questions. Because I don't know how to answer them. She walked in like she owned the place. Her suitcase thudded onto the floor, and she dropped her keys in the bowl like this was just another Tuesday. I stood at the sink, hands in soapy water, heart racing. Outside, Jeremy's car idled, thumping bass vibrating the window panes. I didn't move. I didn't speak. I waited. I'm back, she said, like I needed the announcement. And before you say anything, I'm not here to fight. I turned off the faucet. She leaned on the counter, folded her arms, and added, "But we're gonna need to talk. Like, seriously talk. I can't live like this." I almost laughed. She continued, "I made a list of what I need from you. For us to be okay." She pulled out a folded piece of paper. Like an actual list. She started reading. 1. No more yelling. 2. Stop talking down to me. 3. Respect my relationships. 4. Let me parent my way. 5. Stop undermining me in front of Ellie. I looked at her, stunned. I dried my hands on a dish towel slowly, deliberately. "That's your list?" I asked. She nodded. Confident. "Where's the part where you take responsibility? Where you do anything?" She blinked. I stepped closer. Calm. Cold. "My list is short. 1. Contribute. Financially, practically, emotionally. 2. Stop using Ellie as a pawn. 3. Grow up." "You're being manipulative," she snapped. "No," I said. "I'm being a parent. For both of you, apparently." She opened her mouth, then closed it. Her eyes darted toward the door. I'm not letting Jeremy stay here. She scoffed. Why not? You don't even know him. Exactly. He makes me feel safe. Ellie doesn't know him. And I'm not putting her through a rotating door of boyfriends just because you're lonely. She froze. That word, lonely, landed. Then, soft, I am lonely. For a moment, the air changed. Her posture sagged. She looked tired. Younger. Like a scared teenager in her mother's oversized hoodie, not a woman trying to play house with a guy she met on Instagram. I don't know what I'm doing, she whispered. I don't know how to be good at this. And finally, I saw the truth under all the tantrums and deflection and lies. She was overwhelmed. Just like I had been at her age. Just like I still am sometimes. I wanted to reach for her. But I couldn't. Not yet. Instead I said, then let's start over. For real. But it means we do this differently. She nodded. A small, uncertain nod. We made tea. Sat at the table. Talked for an hour. I kept my voice calm. She tried not to roll her eyes. It felt fragile. But real. Then she said something that cracked me open. I don't think I ever wanted to be a mom, she admitted. Not really. I thought I could fake it. But she's too smart. She sees through me. And there it was. The confession I never thought I'd hear. The one I feared, but also expected. She wasn't ready. She may never be. Later that night, after she went to bed, I sat alone in the living room, lights off, Ellie's toys scattered across the floor. And I thought about what happens next. Do I take full custody? Do I force Alyssa out for good? Do I become the mother a second time and lose my daughter in the process? Or do I keep trying to fix a situation that broke a long time ago? I don't know. But tomorrow, Ellie will wake up and ask for breakfast. And I'll be there. AITA for finally admitting that I might be more of a mom to my granddaughter than I ever was to my daughter?